Are we about to see the end of crazy transfer fees?
I don't want to hear money. I don't want to hear people talking about how much money's been spent.
£100 million is not worth it.
I do not see a £100 million player.
Liverpool have rejected a £150 million bid for Salah from Al Ittihad of Saudi Arabia.
900 million spent. What would it normally be? Would it be 150 million? City could have got a bargain.
Start quoting these ridiculous prices. No, it's madness.
£200 million plus midfielders that you've got, so it looks like a bargain.
That is what makes it a bargain.
£50 million. Simple maths.
Everybody's got a price, and he would be 80 million plus.
100 million's relatively cheap, right?
Mbappe at 24, 150 is fair and right.
Go on, give me a price tag for him right now.
150 million.
Probably around about 200 million quid when you look at agents' fees and what his wages are going to be.
It's well overpriced.
Honestly, I'm like, whoa, come on, calm down. So Big Al may have gotten his way as the Premier League has agreed in principle to go ahead with controls that would effectively limit clubs spending on player-related costs to 85% of their revenues, replacing the current profit and sustainability rules that have caused so many issues this season. A few clubs, well, more than a few actually, voted against the changes. Former Liverpool midfielder Danny Murphy told Kickoff last night that he can understand why.
I do think there's some validity in the bigger clubs' argument around if they generate more money away other than the TV money, then if they're able to do that because of their worldwide appeal and all the different things and the commercial aspect of that. I mean, I don't know if the commercial does count for that, because Alex did say TV money and commercial.
No, it's the
commercial.
Yeah, so if they can't use that, then it's a bit, well, so for example, look at Newcastle. They've got the richest owners in the world, and they haven't been able to invest in the club like they would want to, even though they're in no debt. And they've got the capacity to try and be competitive with Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool, etc., but they can't.
Danny Murphy, has he got a point there, do you think, Ali?
Probably. Legally, he's got a point. I just think morally the whole thing's... you can argue it's sickening, really. You know, in this day and age, that we're spending think about it, 200 million, 150 million, 200 million, and you look about and you see unemployment, you see homelessness. It's just, you know, you put it like that, Jeff, I think it's difficult, you know, to accept. And he's saying the bottom line is, if they get their way, I mean, competition is if not disappearing, it's diminishing. I mean, there's only 3 or 4 teams. I know that some will throw the argument Leicester City in my face, but effectively there's only 3 or 4 teams can win the top flight. There's only 3 or 4 teams can win the Champions League, because, I mean, you think back to, you know, first British club to win it. Breaks my heart. Well, doesn't it break my heart to say it? Congratulations, Chelsea. I beg your pardon, Celtic. Celtic in 1967 won it with a team that, you know, were all 30 miles for the stadium. Now, there's something, I don't know the word's romantic, but there is romantic about that. And now it's just finance. The finance has gone crazy. The richer teams are just will gobble everything up, and I don't think that's a good thing. I genuinely don't. So I think there has to be some form of cap put on it. That's just my opinion.
So not surprisingly, some of the bigger clubs that voted against it. Look, joining us now to bring us right up to speed is talkSPORT's chief football correspondent Alex Crook. Morning, Crookie.
Morning, Crookie.
Good morning. Yeah, it's a really interesting debate, this one, isn't it? I think Ali made some great points there, but I think I'm in the camp where I can see both sides of the argument, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, not too many clubs are going to have their spending affected by this, are they?
No, you're absolutely right. And it was interesting that Aston Villa were one of those clubs who voted against this salary cap, because if you base it on last season's television revenue, Southampton, who finished bottom of the Premier League, they made £103.6 million. Now, we're not absolutely certain yet if the cap will be 4.5 or 5 times the amount the bottom club earned from TV revenue. But let's just say it is 5 times. That would bring the spending cap to £518 million. And actually, there's only one team in the Premier League who currently would be above that cap. And surprise, surprise, it's Chelsea. You look at Aston Villa, I think their squad worth in terms of transfer fees and wages for last season was £272 million. So they're well below any cap. So I think it's interesting that they in particular have voted against it. No surprise that Chelsea abstained, Manchester United and Manchester City, as you've mentioned, the two other clubs who voted against this idea. And United would argue, as Ali's pointed out there, that historically they've built up this global following, and they feel like they would be penalised if they weren't allowed to basically spend as much money as they want to. And the other point that United would make is that by trying to create more of a level playing field in the Premier League, by trying to stop it being a closed shop in terms of the Championship and the Champions League places as it's become, does that then harm the bigger clubs in Europe when it comes to competing with the likes of Real Madrid? And I do see that argument. I think we've got to be careful here between maybe making the Premier League more competitive right at the top end and not harming our chances.
Although, Crook, it's fair to say there's a cap already, isn't there, in Spain? So, you know, we wouldn't be the first. There are already restrictions in Spain which would affect in theory, affect the likes of Real Madrid.
In theory, but I think you'll find when Erling Haaland becomes available, maybe not next season, but the one after, if Barcelona, we know, have got all kinds of financial issues and are having to pull levers every few months to enable them to sign players. If they were able to agree a deal for Erling Haaland, I don't think Liga officials are going to stop that going through.
Crookie, what can you tell us about potential movement with managers and players? It's interesting. We all looked at the incident with Klopp and Salah at the weekend, and there's maybe one or two opinions though are now thinking that it might be the time for Mo Salah to move on. It might suit both parties.
Yeah, I wonder if there's more that meets the eye to that Jurgen Klopp Salah incident. Maybe that's been coming under the surface for some time, and Salah's let himself go knowing the manager won't be there next season. I certainly think it would have been a different scenario had Klopp still been in situ, but certainly positive vibes coming out of Liverpool yesterday. We're expecting the Saudi Pro League to make another big money bid for him this summer, but Liverpool seem pretty confident that he will stay. And actually speaking to people closely connected to Saudi Arabia, they're under the impression that Salah may well stay as well and at least see out the last year of his contract, if not sign a new deal. So that could be good news for the incoming Arne Slot and the new Liverpool hierarchy.
Crookie, brilliant. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Crookie.
Cheers, guys.
It's a complicated, dry old topic, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Spending caps within the Premier League. Let's go back to a topic that's less dry, and that's the best love songs of all time. Wicked Game, sung by a few people. This time it's Agent 301 says, cover done by Corey Taylor, the lead singer of Slipknot, but I remember Chris Isaac, and that would be my choice of the best version of Wicked Game.
It's a brilliant version, and I haven't heard Corey Taylor. I can only imagine. Have you heard Slipknot?
No.
Wow. They are not the type of band you would associate with a love ballad.
They're your sort of band?
Well, not really, no.
No?
No, they're too mental is the word they're used. Not really, to be honest with you. They're just they're a wee bit too far out there for me.
Blimey, too far out there for you.
There's a statement.
I bet they're on Stuart Pearce's playlist, though.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.